So let's start with the first one. And the first one is you're working out just too much. This one's a hard one for people, especially fitness fanatics, I would say, and beginners, which you would think, how could this be common for both people? Because they're on both ends of the spectrum. Well, it's common for fitness fanatics because they love exercise so much that they'll readily ignore the signs that their body's telling them that they're just doing too much. In fact, what they tend to do is they tend to do more and more and more when the workout isn't producing what they want. And they keep going down that particular path. Now, beginners do this because they falsely believe that doing more will get them there faster, or doing too much when you haven't done anything doesn't take much. So if you're a total beginner, a 30-minute workout can be too much for your body, or you don't have to go to failure. You could just have a little bit of intensity and overdo it with your workout.
Well, and two, I think that they're comparing themselves to what they see as like a fit, healthy person and like what their workouts consist of. And so immediately they jump to that type of volume and load, for their own constructed workout.
Well, there's also this terrible message that is in our space that says there's no such thing as overtraining, just under eating.
Yeah,
and there's this belief. It's super popular, especially in the bodybuilding community, that nobody's overtraining. It takes so much to overtrain. Like, you're just under eating, and if you were to eat more, you'd be fine, or prioritize recovery, you'd be fine. And that's not true at all. There's definitely a sweet spot. And by the way, the sweet spot is individualized.
It is.
It's not the same for everybody. And so,
and it's not going to even be the same for you
throughout your career.
Time.
That's right. The different points of your career, it will be, there'll be different amounts of volume that you can handle. Also, not just on experience level, because I know that's the first thing people think, of course, as you get more experience, you can handle more. No, also what the circumstances in your life are currently. If you are under all kinds of stress, lack of sleep, you've got a lot of things going on at work, with family, that might be a time when you just can't handle the same kind of volume maybe you could handle just 3 or 4 years ago.
And then there's this interesting paradox where sometimes when you're relatively new, like intermediate, you can actually do more and get away with more than if you're super advanced, because when you're super advanced, you've developed the ability to train with a higher intensity and with heavier weight. So like, let's say you've been working out for a year and you can do 10 reps with 200 pounds. And then 2 years later, you could do 10 reps with 300 pounds. That 300 pounds will still produce a little bit more stress on your body, even if it's something you can handle, because the total load is still the total load. So this is something you kind of have to judge as you go along. And someone may be asking, what are the signs? Well, first off, let's consider this. Like, doing too much basically means you're doing more than is allowing your body to recover and adapt to. So whenever you exercise, it's a stress on the body. The body identifies the stress, heals the damage that the stress caused, because if there's no damage, that means there was no stress. So it heals the body, and then it tries to adapt and overcompensate so the same insult does not cause the same damage as before. This is why you get stronger. This is why you get more fit. This is why you have to add weight and change your workouts. Now, your body can tolerate a lot more than what is the ideal amount for progress. In other words, if 10 sets of an exercise is the perfect amount for the best results, you may be able to tolerate 15 sets, but you're not going to get the results any faster. In fact, all you're doing at that point now is compromising your ability to recover, so you're actually slowing down your progress. So the things to pay attention to besides not getting results are things like excess fatigue, joint pain, soreness, and stiffness that doesn't seem to want to go away. Hot, cold intolerance. This is what happens to me when I overtrain. I notice that I get cold easier, or I get hot easier. And sleep disturbances. Sleep disturbances is a big one for overdoing it.
Well, where's the sweet spot? What does the research say as far as the optimal amount of total sets in a workout? What do we know as far as how? Because that would be another way to judge this, is if you're trying to figure out, am I doing too much? Are you on the upper end of that or beyond what they would recommend as optimal for most people?
So the studies, the meta-analysis show this is per week, anywhere between something like 8 sets per body part for the week to as high as 18 or 20 sets. So it's like a huge range, 8 to 20.
It is, but it's not that crazy, because there's easily, I've seen this, where people are doing 50 sets in a week on a
Yeah.
muscle group.
Yeah.
That they're doing 12 to 16 sets for chest, 2 to 3 times a week. And so I know 8 to 20 does sound like a pretty wide range, and it is a pretty wide range, and there's a major individual variance within that. But and here's the thing too, if you're around, if you think, oh, maybe this is me, but you're only doing 2 sets or 3 sets on a muscle group per week, you're probably not.
Yeah.
If you're falling somewhere in that sweet spot, you might not be, but if you're towards the upper end of that, you may be somebody who is overreaching and you don't even realize
Well, it's
it.
interesting how even like 3 day a week, like, and having like the days of rest in between is still like one of the most optimal strength driven, like, schedule in terms of like your workouts are concerned. That still has shown itself in strength athletes and your everyday average person to follow.
Yeah, absolutely.